Dear students, today we shall read about a famous man called Gautam Buddha. Yes, he is the one after whom the religion Buddhism is named. To begin with, Buddha was not always a monk. Yes, that's right. He was born as a prince to King Sudodhana and Queen Maya Devi. He was the ruler of northern India. So, why did he then give up all worldly pleasure and live a life of a monk? Well, we shall read about this in the chapter The Sermon at Benares by Betty Renshaw. Yes, this is originally written by Betty Renshaw. So, this chapter covers the journey of Gautam Buddha from his princely life to his saintly life. As he saw the sufferings of the world, he chose to surrender the material world and sought enlightenment. Now, let's understand this chapter. The Sermon at Benares by Betty Renshaw. Let's talk about the author first. Betty Renshaw Barber was born in Shannon, Mississippi on September 3, 1927. She taught at the preschool level for several years and eventually she was able to pass her experiences on to others by teaching preschool teachers. Betty married Joseph Henry Barber Jr. on December 23rd, 1950. They were married for 61 years. Now let's talk about the chapter. So, as I have told you, this chapter covers the journey of Gautam Buddha. The mystery of life and death always baffles us. When we lose someone near and dear, we are sad. This lesson teaches us that death is the ultimate truth. It is about the early life of Gautam Buddha and his first sermon preached at Benares. So, dear student, this is your 10th chapter, the sermon at Benares. So, what is a sermon? It is different from a lecture or a talk. Actually, this is religious talk. Okay, so we can also use it in negative way or a joke also. So, what this chapter says, Gautam Buddha, that is time period given 563 before Christ to 483 before Christ. He began life as a prince named Siddhartha Gautama in northern India. At 12, he was sent away for schooling in the Hindu sacred scriptures, and 4 years later, he returned home to marry a princess. So, as I have told you, he was born a prince. So, he was sent for the studies when he was 12 years old, and he was sent for the study of sacred Hindu scriptures, means connected with gods and considered to be holy books. Okay, then he returned after 4 years and then he was married to a princess. They had a son and lived for 10 years as befitted royalty, and he was in married life for 10 years and they enjoyed, or befitted means be suitable for, so they enjoyed all the luxuries and all the princely life pleasures. So at about the age of 25, the prince, heretofore shielded from the sufferings of the world. So you can relate to the page, that's why. So what happened? So when he enjoyed the royalty till he was 25. So one day the prince, who was protected by all the sufferings of the world by his parents, so one day while out hunting, chanced upon a sick man, then an aged man, then a funeral procession, and finally a monk begging for alms. So what happened? Then, on a hunting trip, what happened? The prince saw some sad sights that deeply affected him. He saw a sick man because he never witnessed any sick before. Moreover, he never witnessed any aged man before because in his services there were only young ladies and young men. So, an aged man and then a funeral procession. He also saw a monk begging for alms. Okay, so he also come in contact with the monk who was begging for his daily needs like food and water. So, what happened? These all sights moved him so much. Okay, these sights so moved him that he at once went out into the world to seek enlightenment concerning the sorrows he had witnessed. He wandered for 7 years and finally sat down under a peepal tree where he vowed to stay. So, what happened? Now he was determined to know what was the reason behind the sufferings. So, the prince at once left home to know and understand the cause of human sufferings. He kept wandering for 7 years and at last sat down under a tree, under a peepal tree, until enlightenment came, until he would have the real knowledge. Enlightened after 7 days. So, when he was determined to have the enlightenment, he got the enlightenment after 7 days. So, as it is written as the first line, enlightened after 7 days, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree. So, he was determined not to get off the tree until or unless he would have the enlightenment, means the real knowledge. Okay, so in this way, he was there, and after 7 days, he got the enlightenment. He renamed, then after this, he renamed the tree the Bodhi tree, means the tree of wisdom, and began to teach and to share his new understandings. Now he came to know about the sufferings, the reason behind it. Now he was having the real knowledge and he was connected to the God. So he started teaching or sharing his knowledge to others. At that point, he became known as the Buddha. So that time he was having the name Buddha. Buddha means the awakened or the enlightened, means the person who got the enlightenment, okay, who got the deep knowledge, supreme knowledge. So that is called Buddha. The Buddha preached his first sermon at the city of Banaras. What is sermon? Sermon means moral talk or religious talk. So Buddha gave or delivered his first sermon at the city of Banaras. Banaras that time was very famous for the wise people, for universities, for education. So most holy of the dipping places on the river Ganga. Okay, so this it is also till now it is believed that this is the most holistic place, or you can say very religious place near the bank of river Ganga. That ceremony has been preserved and is given here. It reflects the Buddha's wisdom about one inscrutable kind of sufferings. So, this ceremony at the place of Bodhi Gaya under the Bodh tree delivered by Buddha, till now it was preserved. Okay, so the ceremony has been preserved and even printed there. It reflects the Buddha's wisdom, means his real knowledge about one inscrutable kind of sufferings, those sufferings which cannot be understood by the common people. So, what was the incidence? How he just shared the knowledge with common people, with the people who were suffering in this world of possessions, material. So, what happened? So, one lady named Kisa Gautami had an only son and he died. In her grief, she carried the dead child to all her neighbors, asking them for medicine. And the people said, "She has lost her senses, the boy is dead." Because she was the mother of the only son, and out of grief, she was so much depressed that she went door to door seeking help to regain health to his son. But the neighbors started laughing on her by saying that she has lost her senses because the boy that time was dead. So at length Kisa Gautami met a man who replied to her request, "I cannot give thee medicine for thy child." Thee means you, thy means your. So uh, after a little distance, she came across a man who replied her request that he could not provide any medicine to her or neither to her child. But what he replied, "But I know a physician who can." But he knew someone who could save the life of the child. And the girl said, "Pray tell me, sir, who is it?" And that lady, out of grief, begging him by saying, "Please tell, who is it?" And the man replied, "Go to Sakyamuni, the Buddha." Sakyamuni means Shalyamuni, physician. Okay, so that time doctors were addressed like Sakyamuni, Shalyamuni. So Kisa Gautami repaired re- unto the Buddha and cried. So she came near Buddha and she started crying, "Lord and Master, give me the medicine that will cure my boy." She begged to Lord Buddha that please provide her some medicine so that her child would be cured. The Buddha answered, "I want a handful of mustard seed." So at this the Buddha replied, "Hey lady, I needed handful of mustard seeds. Okay, so for treatment I needed some material, that is mustard seeds." And when the girl in her joy promised to procure it, the Buddha added, when she was in a happy mood, promised that she would arrange. It was very easy to arrange handful of mustard seed, but Buddha added some of to the list. What he added? The mustard seed must be taken from a house where no one has lost a child, husband, parent, or friend. He added by saying that, "Hey lady, you need to bring mustard seeds from that house only where there would be no death of any child, husband, parent, or friend." Means never ever in their life any death might happen. Poor Kisa Gautami now went from house to house. But how it could be possible? Because death is inseparable. If we have taken birth, we have to die. That's why she was begging and going from one house to another house, and the people pitied her and said, "Here is mustard seeds." People were ready to give her mustard seeds. Okay, and they were ready to give her. But when she asked, "Did a son or a daughter or a father or mother die in your family?" Okay, so she asked, have, had there been any death in your family of any son, daughter, father, mother, or any family member? So they answered her, "Alas!" In a grief, they answered, "The livings are few, but the dead are many." So those who are living in the family are only few, like 5, 10, 20 people are living, suppose. Okay, but those who have died, like grandmother's sister, grandmother's brother, or grandfather's brother, sister, or their fathers, their forefathers. So those who are living are few, but those who have died are so many. Okay, so they replied her in a sorrowful manner that of course there was death of many people in their family, like their forefathers, their grandparents. Okay, their parents, even those who were old. So they were so distressed by this question. Okay, do not remind us of our deepest grief. And they also told her that please don't remind us about their departure. They were also having soft corner for all those who have died. And there was no house, but some beloved one had died in it. And at the end, she could not find even a single house where no death happened before. So, what happened? This was the true enlightenment, practical enlightenment, as you can see from the example how cleverly or how patiently Buddha made that lady realized the ultimate reality of life. I won't say cleverly, actually, this was the practical enlightenment. Otherwise, he would just told her not to be sad, there is grief everywhere, or pressed her about some golden words, might they not be transferred her. But this kind of incidents made her realize that everybody had faced such kind of incidents in their life, so she was not new to this grief. Okay, so Kisa Gautami became weary and hopeless. Now what happened? Now Kisa Gautami, she was tired. Okay, she was having no enthuse now. Weary means she was tired completely. And she was hopeless as well. And sat down at the wayside watching the lights of the city. And it was going to dark very soon, and she was watching the light of the city as they flickered up and were extinguished again. So the lights were flickering because that time there were earthen lamps, okay, with oil. So they were flickering and then extinguished, means totally vanish away the light. At last, the darkness of the light. So what happened to the darkness? Okay, when the darkness reigned, means covered up all the streets, there were complete darkness. So what happened then? After the reign of the darkness everywhere? Yes, this is reigned. And she considered the fate of men. And then she realized what was the fate. Okay, this was destined for everyone. Those who have taken birth, they have to die one day. That their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. So that was the ultimate truth, that everyone had to die and then they would be given birth again. Fine. So, and she thought to herself. Then she realized the truth. She thought that how selfish am I in my grief, that in her extreme grief she became so selfish. She knew the reality, yet the only son died, so that's why she became so selfish. Death is common to all because that is common to everyone. Okay, yet in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality who has surrendered all selfishness. But in this area which is filled with sorrow and sufferings, means this mortal world, this world of positions. Okay, so this is called as valley of desolations. There is only one path that leads him to immortality. It is him and her both actually. So how we can attain the immortality? How one can attain the immortality? By surrendered all selfishness. When we give up all selfishness, all kind of expectations, all kind of pride, money, possessions, then ultimately we would attain the uh, deep enlightenment about our real meaning of this life. The Buddha said, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief and combined with pain. Then Buddha enlightened her by the words of wisdom that the life of mortals means those who have taken birth on earth. Okay, so we people, we all are mortals. So the world is full of troubles. Okay, life is very short and combined with pain. And there are a lot of pains like loss of money, loss of business, or maybe loss of property, loss of family members, dear nears, maybe young and old. I mean, there are endless sufferings. Okay, maybe not even loss. You could say that somebody could lose even their health or their happiness. Okay, so for there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. But there is no way to escape the reality of life, that is death. Okay, after reaching old age, there is death because this is the ultimate reality. Death is the ultimate reality of such a nature are living beings. So, this is the nature of living beings. Those who have taken birth, they have to die. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling. So how beautifully it is defined as ripe fruits are at a great risk of falling. So those who are matured, those who are in their old age, so they would die one day. So mortals when born are always in danger of death. So it was believed earlier as well that whosoever have taken birth, their death date also decided. So same Buddha was enlightening her that we all are destined to have death. Okay, so as all earthen vessels made by the potter end in being broken. So what happened when there was no use of earthen vessels by the potter? So ultimately, when it get old, smelly, or whatever, so they made it broken. So is the life of mortals. Same, we are living the life. Okay, anytime we could die. So same is the life of mortals, both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise, all fall into the power of death. So uh, death is unbiased. It can happen to anyone, anytime. It has no discrimination of young or adult or fool or wise. Okay, all have the same end. Whether you are rich, poor, black, white, there is no discrimination when death comes to any mortal. All fall into the power of death. So we have to surrender to death. So there is no escape from the reality, that is death. So all are subject to death. So we have to surrender, okay, to death ultimately. Of those who overcome by death depart from life. A father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen their relations. Okay, so he enlightened her by saying that, of course, that is the ultimate reality, and of those who overcome by death. So, those people who surrender to death or to whom the death had taken away the life, okay, so they are called departed. They are called departed from life, dead. So, in this matter, even the father could not save his young son, or neither the relations. Okay, kinsmen means relatives. Neither the relatives could save their relations. So, mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one, mortals are carried off. While other relatives were just lamenting over the dead body, crying bitterly for their departed dear one. So that time the death would be carrying many of the mortals, like an ox that is led to the slaughter. So it could be like an ox taken to a slaughterhouse, okay, where killing of animals is done. So the world is afflicted with death and decay. So how this world is? This is full of death and decay. And decay means destruction. Therefore, the wise do not grieve. So, those who are wise, those who know the ultimate reality that this would happen to everyone, they never feel sad for anything or any loss, knowing the terms of the world, because this is the rules, regulations of the world. Okay, whether rich, poor, black, white, okay, small or big or young, old, all are subjected to death. So last he enlightened her by saying, not from weeping nor from grieving will anyone obtain peace of mind. So how we could calm ourselves in those desperate situations, those distress situations? Okay, neither by weeping nor by lamenting or shouting or crying bitterly. This won't help to attain the peace of mind. On the contrary, and on the opposite of it, what would help? His pain will be the greater, and his body will suffer. So, if a person would cry bitterly, or would lament over, or would just not eat anything, or would be in depression, so this would really increase the pain, okay, and even would affect the physical health of that person who suffers from the loss of their loved one. He will make himself sick and pale, yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. How beautifully he defined that this won't help. This would rather make that person sick and pale. Yet those who have departed, they would never return. By the crying, by the louder yelling or weeping, nobody could come back. He who seeks peace should draw out the arrow of lamentation. So, who wants to attain the peace? First of all, they need to draw out, means let out the arrow of lamentation. They should not cry, they should not weep over it. Okay, they should make themselves calm, quiet, and complain, okay, and grief. So they should not complain regarding why God you have done this or that. Okay, they should not feel pain. They must just attain the peace of mind by repeating again and again. This is the ultimate reality of life. He who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed will obtain peace of mind. Those people who have just uh, calmed themselves. So one should attain the peace by composing themselves, by letting out all the grief and accepting the reality. He who has overcome all sorrows will become free from sorrow and be blessed. So, in the end, Buddha gave the message that it is futile to grieve about death. Mourning and weeping can't bring the dead back to life. The only way to obtain peace of mind is to overcome all sorrows. Only by overcoming sorrow one can be full of peace and pure joy. So I hope this chapter is clear to you. Although this chapter has deep meaning, I really would prefer you to read it out, because this is really a nice chapter, and I hope this chapter is clear to everyone. Thanks for watching this video.